So yesterday I did a few trainings on Google Drawing, and I'd like to show you some of the tools and techniques that we used. So the first way to get to Google Drawing is through your Google Drive. You're going to click on the New button, then on More, and you'll find Google Drawings in this location. When you get to Google Drawings, some of the tools that we spoke about yesterday were things like word art, masking pictures, as well as how to use the image tool, image options tool with pictures to make your images your background. And finally, how to make straight lines, as odd as that sounds, on a page. So the first tool I'm going to show you is your word art tool. If you click on Insert Word Art, so word art is a little funny. So one way you can just do word art is just by typing in your word, such as dog. So here's my word dog, and it looks very basic. So the way that we can change it up is if we go to our paint can tool. Now I'm going to change it so that's yellow on the inside. Now I'm going to change my line on the outside. So even though it doesn't look like it changed much, if I change my line weight, you can see, let's see, I'll make it a little bit, sorry, that's on my page. Line weight, let's make it a little bit darker. See, now it's a little bit blue on the outside. Now if I go to my line type, I can change it so that my dog has some chicken pox. And now if I change my font style, here's where we really change our word art to true word art. But let's say we want our word art on two separate lines. If I go to Insert Word Art, you need to use the Shift and Enter button for multiple lines. So if I went the dog went, and then if I do Shift and Enter on a walk, then I hit Enter, now you can see you have your word art on multiple lines. So now you can see how you can have a very plain and simplistic word art, and you can have a very fancy word art. And I can still change this one over here to something a little bit more interesting. We also spoke about how you can take this word art and you can change the size of this. You can make this smaller just by pulling it in from the corners, or you can make it larger just by spreading it out. Okay. Also, the way you can add images onto your page here, I don't typically like to use the image tool here. I like to go to Tools and Research. If you click on Tools and Research, you'll see a Research tool is brought up on the side. If you click on the G or the downward arrow next to the G, you'll see you have an image tool here. If I type in dog, you'll see tons of dog pictures are brought up. If I click on the picture of the dog, it'll bring me to the website that it's listed below, Pet Finder. But if I drag the picture of the dog onto my screen, you'll see that I have the image of the dog on my screen. And it's just, you can see it's creating the image right now. So I have this image of the dog now on my screen. If I look at the crop image here, you can see there's a little downward arrow. And you can see how it says mask image. If I actually click on that mask image, I have tons of shape tools and different options that I can use to cut over the image. So I can use a heart tool and it cuts out around this image. So this is also another option if you're creating different certificates for kids. You can put their face in here. I can also move the image inside of here. If I double click on this, you can see that I can move the dog up to center him in the shape. So let's see if I move him up a little bit. There we go. He's centered a little bit more in our heart. But let's say that I wanted to make my dog or change the color of the dog. Let's bring a different dog. Let's bring a little smiling dog onto the page here. So we got this smiling dog here. If you notice that when you bring your smiling dog onto the page, anytime you're working with image tools, you have an image option button. If you click on the image option, you have another tool that's brought up on the side. You can make your dog change the transparency level. So if I bring it down a little, you can see your dog becomes transparent or slightly transparent. I can bring it down a little bit more. Okay. So this is a tool that you can use to go in the back of your words. Some teachers like to do things like that. So this can become a background image on your pages. You can also do things like recoloring your images. So I can make my dog have kind of like a red image to him. I can make him kind of blue. So there's all different ways that you can play with your images on your page. The last thing I want to show you today is how to make straight lines. So if we click on our line tool, which is right next to our shapes tool on the top bar, if we click on the line tool here, and we want to draw a straight line. So as I draw a straight line, you can see that my line kind of moves every which way, and it's hard to draw an actual straight line. So if I keep trying to draw a straight line, it's not exactly straight. But if I hold the Shift button down while I try to draw a straight line, you can see the line goes perfectly straight, and even when I try to move my mouse up and down, it only goes in straight directions. So this is a great tool to use as well if you're trying to draw lines. If you have any questions, I hope this tutorial on Google Drawing was helpful.